Starting at 22 instead of 30 isn't worth 8 extra years of savings. It's worth almost $300,000. And almost none of that gap comes from the money you put in. Here's the thing. When you're in your 20s, $500 a month feels like a lot to give up. That's rent money. That's flights, nights out, the stuff you tell yourself you'll catch up on later once you're making real money. So you wait. Maybe 2 years, maybe it turns into 8, and the plan is always the same. I'll just save more later to make up for it. It sounds reasonable, it sounds responsible even, and it's almost completely wrong. Most financial advice treats saving like a math problem you can solve at any point in time. Put in more later, end up in the same place. But that advice usually comes from people selling you a plan, not a timeline. Advisors get paid on assets under management, so the message is always start now with us, never. Here's exactly what waiting costs you. The real damage isn't the 8 years of contributions you missed. It's the 8 years your money never got to multiply on its own. Some people think the fix is just saving harder once they finally start. Tom did this at 30, doubled his contribution, felt proud, figured he'd basically caught up within a few years. He hadn't. Others think a bigger income later solves it. Ryan made partner at 34, started maxing out everything, and was still behind someone earning half his salary who'd simply started earlier. And then there's the classic move. I'll catch up when the bonus hits. Chris said that at 26. He's saying it again at 36. The fix isn't more money. It's not a better salary. It's time in the market doing the one thing your effort can't replace: compounding. Money invested at 22 doesn't just sit there for 8 extra years. It earns returns on its returns year after year, quietly building a base that money invested at 30 can never fully catch. Picture a snowball at the top of a hill. The first few feet barely matter, it's small, it's slow, but the longer that hill is, the bigger it gets before it ever reaches the bottom. Starting at 22 means you're rolling that snowball down a much longer hill. Starting at 30 means you joined partway down, and no matter how hard you push after that, you can't get back the slope you missed. This comes down to what I call the 3 laws of compounding time. Law 1, time invested matters more than money invested. An extra 8 years beats an extra $800 a month almost every time. Law 2, early growth is invisible, late growth is obvious. The snowball looks the same for years, then suddenly it doesn't. Law 3, you can't buy back missed time. You can save more. You can earn more. You cannot make this year be 8 years ago. Let's make this real. Jake starts investing $500 a month at 22, averaging a 7% annual return, pretty standard for a diversified index fund over the long run. By 65, his account sits at roughly $1.46 million. Mike waits until 30 to start the exact same $500 a month, same 7% return. By 65, he's at about $760,000. Same monthly contribution, same return, same final age. Mike put in $24,000 less than Jake over those 8 years, but he ends up with $700,000 less. That's not a rounding error. That's nearly $750,000 gone. Not because Mike did anything wrong, but because that money never got the chance to work those first 8 years. That's money that was never collected. It was sitting right there, and it's just gone. But here's where it gets interesting, because most people watching this aren't 22 anymore. So what do you actually do with this if you're already past that window? This is where almost everyone gets the lesson backwards. The takeaway isn't, I missed it, so why bother? The takeaway is that today is the earliest day left in your entire future. Every year you wait from here is another slice of compounding you're voluntarily giving away. If you're 30 watching this, the move isn't despair. It's starting today instead of eventually. If you're 22 watching this, the move is treating that $500 a month like it's already worth $1 million, because mathematically, it basically is. The starting age in this video was never really about 22 or 30. It was about whichever number is closest to right now. So no, starting at 22 instead of 30 was never really about 8 extra years of contributions. It was about nearly $300,000 in growth that money can only earn if you give it the time to earn it. The snowball doesn't care how old you are when you let it go. It only cares how long it gets to roll. If you found this useful, stick around, because next I'm breaking down the exact age where waiting even one more year starts costing you more than saving aggressively ever could.